steel, and they've got holes this big in it. And the house is like a mile across the bottom. The guy just sits there on his deck with a 50 cal and just shoots, holes in the cold rolled steel. And the holes are this big from a mile away. And it's insane. And I'm like,
what is it? Having a good time?
yeah. I hope he's not sitting on the deck right now as I'm, we have permission to be there, but you gotta come around the corner. You see that? You're like,
what are we doing with our voice?
So I would wait to hear. I mean, everything is done on my end, except I even just this past weekend finished. I filled out the schools works application permits.
Who's this called?
Tuscan, right? So right. So, but there's another. I get to be paid anything on this job, and you want to get all final fees on everything. I don't know.
I saw that.
So I know that, well, in fairness, I haven't billed that one yet, right? But the first one for all of the initial work I did. And I'm not worried about it, Christina told me, don't worry. But my other thing is now there's another, if they want the septic permits, that's another $1,200. And I'm like, look, someone else gonna write somewhere else for the check. So it's all filled out, it's ready to go. And do they want the permits before they close, or does it? Oh, so I didn't see. That's what I didn't understand is who knew.
So David, so Valley,
So you were representing them by on their side, and of course, I got brought in by Jones on their side. And I haven't had. This whole thing has been so.
So Becky,
No, Christina and Carl. And no, they're not gonna. I usually that would be on. They would just do that. I figured. Two systems, yeah. So, but they wouldn't go through. Well, I literally.
can you okay with that?
It's been sitting here for a while.
I was on jury duty and one of the jurors reached into a bag of munchkins that had clearly been in there for a week.
These are left over from the HBC.
No, they were here before the.
Oh, were they really?
I think they're left over from.
We should start doing remember that? Do you remember that show? Thank you. Oh, that TV, that remote control?
Yeah.
We should do that like an hour, like 2 or snacks just break down from the ceiling. Get it with like Cheetos.
Oh.
Just need to get one more, and then actually you can start the meeting so we can get out of here as quickly as possible.
No meeting?
What's that?
No Andy?
Well, he's not here yet, and the agenda's so short that if we get started on time, we may be able to ran right through it, and if the other guys are 5 minutes late, we can be done.
We need one more.
Exactly. We got the vice chair. No, this should be outside of 20 at your point. The rest of this should be right for it.
The one thing I don't understand is,
And I suppose if they tell people there.
so now you should retire from
I did got a place. I'm not around at home. We're a little different. It's a great view. We got a tent there and a gazebo. It is Cuban. There's nothing in the way there.
They did it all together.
Families on fire, so we're working on the same day.
I didn't know that, that was a first.
Donna's teacher.
So,
I think the fire's been
somewhere.
But his name, who's he was a really good guy. So she said, take a picture of me. So I took a picture. And she's like, send it to me. She flew down like 3 o'clock, 6. So they're off.
know Ian is on island. I came to visit. Not saying he's not calling in because he's riding his bike.
That was a good one.
Ian's almost like minutes here.
Yeah, and they did some of the trustees.
I thought he was gone. He said the next one. Which is this one.
The Wilsey saga continues.
And the hits keep coming. And the hits keep coming. I went to Wisconsin. I started losing my mind.
Oh God, I can't even imagine what that's like.
I don't know who the woman is. She loves you, but
Was it with Cody?
older woman. No, it was May. Afterwards.
I just got the email this morning. And I'm like, oh, shit, what's going on? You gotta just put this behind you, man.
So I'm like, how did I get sick of this? I told him, like, I'm done, right? All set. So then,
Oh my God.
so then the next thing, David read the chat, and I was like, you know, guys, the other option is not to do like, just leave it. Just put it there. And they were, so one of the ladies said, it's all going to be surrounded with privet, it's going to match all this, it's going to match what we're going to free, blah, blah, blah. You can't have privet. You can't have privet in Wisconsin.
Hey, look at that. Lightsabers on one.
I'm like, so I look around and all of a sudden I see Michael May. And he goes,
Nice.
privet's everywhere. I'm like, my
Love it when they're gone, right?
You're right. That is ground zero. What's up, Dave? That's like ground zero. Ground zero. Wow.
Round zero. Sounds intense over there.
Oh, it got so bad he ended up in the hospital with a heart condition. Wilson, come on. So then one of the ladies at the chat goes, you shouldn't take it personally. And he's like, it's my home. Of course I'm taking it personally.
Okay. Yep, we're gonna get this going. Okay, we are going to begin the Nantucket Conservation Commission meeting for Wednesday, June 27th. We will begin with public meeting, public comment. Nope, none of that. So items that will be continued, under notices of intent, we have Mary D. Starr, continued to July 25th. Gregory Reyes, continued to July 11th. And then 273 Hummock Pond Road Nominee Trust continued to July 11th.
One more.
Yes.
The 21 Cricket Lane has changed from withdrawal request to continuing until the 11th.
Okay, so 21 Cricket Lane is also continuing to July 11th. So we will begin with 28 EPR Trust, 28 Eel Point Road.
Which one? I don't have to be.
I think it is. I'm going to recuse myself from this one.
I don't know who the actual owner is.
Stephen Cohen.
Just in case.
Good afternoon, Mark Ritz from Site Design, representing the applicants at 28 Eel Point Road. We discussed this project last meeting. This is a request to demolish several structures that are partially inside the 100, to do some grading and filling and some brush cutting, all of which is outside of the 25. During the last meeting, members of the commission had concerns with potential downslope runoff issues of the two wetlands, and a request was made by the commission that we come up with some sort of drainage swale or other means of addressing potential runoff issues. We have done that, and I'm here to present those modifications this evening. So, that said, I will start with the property, the portion of the property on the east where
The grading was, and the fill was a little bit less intense than on the west side, and there were concerns, but they weren't as severe as they were on the other side. I have sheet 2 as a detail sheet. What we have done on the east side is we're proposing a approximately 1 foot deep swale just outside the 25-foot buffer, and the swale has been designed that it will have an outlet that directs flow basically parallel to the edge of the wetland into a flatter portion of the property where it will be able to infiltrate better and then flow into the wetland. So we're coming down slope here. We've got our typical swale design here, and then it empties out with a flow direction this way instead of going straight towards the wetland. So we will have, and we're not changing the contours here. I've also shown in gray the 25-foot buffer is densely vegetated, and that's going to remain that way. So we're not disturbing the shrub vegetation there. We're just going to direct the flow this way. We weren't able to do anything to the south without doing significant excavation or alteration of grade there. So we're basically moving the flow northward on this part of the property. And on the other side of the property, we have done something similar. We're also proposing an approximately 1 foot deep swale on that side. On this side, we were able to, we have a small isolated wetland there. We were able to accommodate the grading in such a way that we'll have flow going in both directions parallel to the edge of the wetland, and again going into flatter portions of the property where it will be able to infiltrate and recharge. And we're also maintaining, as shown in gray, greater than the 25-foot buffer of existing dense vegetation. So we feel that this is going to take the slope itself also will be initially stabilized with a fabric mat and will be planted with typical shrubby buffer zone vegetation, bayberry, shrubs, some seed mix probably. So we will be stabilizing the slope, and we will have the drainage swales now to capture any of that runoff and to direct it away from going straight into the wetland. But it's not going far enough away that it won't be recharging back into those wetlands. And that's pretty much all we've modified since the last meeting.
Well, I was the one that asked you to sort of put stakes on last time, and then I went out there for the first time and realized that it would be impossible for you to do that because the vegetation is so dense.
We haven't since we haven't cleared anything there.
I guess I'm glad I went out, and I'm really pleased that you've modified it this way, because it would seem to me to try and keep that covering as much as possible would be helpful going forward for the wetlands. So, this clearly is part of addresses my concern that way to a certain extent.
Well, we're definitely keeping greater than the 25-foot, buffer. Portions of we are doing clearing in portions of the 50, but greater than 50% of that is being kept. All of the 25 is being kept as dense vegetation, and then we are channelizing the flow to go to adjacent flatter areas.
Just that the erosion control is going to be installed prior to grading construction, I think would be.
Absolutely, I think that's pretty standard requirement. We'll do some, we'll do sufficient clearing to get there, install the erosion control, and then do all the earthworks.
Yeah, right. Okay. That's fine.
And, it'll go in before the demoing of the structures happens too, just to minimize any potential from those activities.
Yeah.
Any questions from the public? Jeff, do we have everything we need to close?
We do.
Would you like to close?
We're ready to close.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
All right, on to public meeting request for determination. Christopher J. and Kira L. Detmer, 3 Grace Pastures Road.
Good afternoon. Bob Emack for the applicants.
we're asking for approval of the wetland line and the work that is proposed, consisting of upgrading the septic system to a septic tech 8-bedroom system, and also approval of a building envelope. All the work is proposed outside the 100-foot buffer zone, as we have delineated. So that's about it, I think.
Jeff, do you have a recommendation for this
Yeah,
one?
we reviewed the wetland line and agreed, so I would recommend a positive 2A on the resource area boundaries, and then the other -4 that all the work is outside of jurisdiction and doesn't require those other.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thanks, Bob.
Thank you.
Unanimously. Lisa R. Bermel and John J. Bermel, trustees, 9 Cabot Lane.
Again, Bob Emack for the applicants. We're asking for approval today of an existing stone patio that is outside of 25 feet, inside of the 50-foot buffer zone to the bordering vegetated wetland. There's a breakout on the slope. This is 9 Cabot Lane, existing house, and there was an approved patio and stone wall, which have also been installed. The existing patio that was not approved, that we're asking for approval now, was put in at the same time back in, I'd say, 1999. So it's been there a while.
And we found it on the 2000 aerial photo. So what kind of brought this up, if I could jump in, is they're coming in for a certificate of compliance, which is later on the 1257, and everything was in compliance with the exception that this existing patio wasn't permitted at the time. So we thought the easiest way was to come in, permit the patio after the fact separately, and then deal with strict compliance with the original application. So it's the kind of guys who've got DEP and so forth. So that's what brings us in today.
It's just dry laid patio.
I think you guys looked at it.
Yep.
Well, I have a question, which is, I've always liked to watch the fireworks from there, and so there's always been that issue of what is the right of way and how the abutters feel about that. And it seems on this plan that it's impinged on the right of way. And it looks on the plan as though even the building has. But
That's sort of I would imagine a legal matter.
as he steps up.
It really doesn't, you put all the trouble to come this way.
No, I understand the question, but I'm not sure that it has a bearing with respect to the applications before you. I mean, the fact, I think that,
Well, I think putting a porch in a public right of way would have a bearing, wouldn't it?
It's not a public way.
first of all, it's a private way. But, the fact that it's been there as long as it has, I think, as Bob has said, it was built in 1999. It's been there now for almost 20 years. When it was first put in, the wall encroached within 50. And the commission accepted from the original applicant an enhanced buffer, non-disturbed buffer, beyond 25 all the way up to the wall. So the wall is the extent of the undisturbed buffer. And that was sort of a trade-off. I think I don't know what happened when it was built. It may have just been easier to put something down in order to support the wall. I'm not sure. But I think now, to the extent you're being asked whether it alters the resource area, the fact that it's been there for 20 years, it's a slope breakout. It was the same slope breakout when the application was first heard 20 years ago. I'm not sure that it does alter. I think part of the concern would be taking it out would be more harmful than simply leaving it where it's been for the last 2 decades, quite frankly.
Well, I also think that a dry laid patio is an approvable condition past the 50 anyway.
Yeah.
And if you were so inclined to watch the fireworks, it would be a good place to stand.
Is that an invitation?
We'll add it as a
If you can
condition.
lock that
Yeah.
in, I'd,
So, did they have an open order then,
They do.
when this changed hands?
Yes, they did.
Oh, okay. Because I used to work at this property, so I remember the previous owner and the new owner a little bit.
And we're trying to take care of that open order later on.
Okay. Okay. Well, Jeff, do you have a recommendation for this one?
yeah, another positive 2A, and then a negative 3 for wetlands buffers.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimously?
Thank you.
I think you just want to be here for a long time.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, so on to minor modifications, 46 Schimmel Pond Road Nominee Trust, 46 Schimmel Pond Road.
Full size ones. For the applicant, Art Gasparo, along with Arthur Reed and landscape architect Bernie Waller. We are before you tonight with what's essentially a refinement of the landscape design for this approved project for residential redevelopment up at 46 Schimmel Pond Road. And with the application, we included both the approved landscape plan from November 2017 and the proposed plan. There's been a change in landscape architects, and so the plan, in conjunction with the owner, the architects, myself, and the landscape architect, have fine-tuned the design within the previously approved limits of work. So there's no expansion of the work limit. We have enhanced the plan from the approved plan in terms of showing more information. The grading hadn't been shown on the approved plan, and that's now included with the proposed plan. There's not much change. It's really fitting into sort of as a bit of a side slope. We're not redirecting any runoff towards the top of the bank. We are taking it down a little bit, which hadn't been shown on the grade that hadn't been shown on the previous plan. But again, it's between the 25 and the 50 in an area that would typically be allowed. The dashed purple line is the outline of the existing structure. You may recall that this had sort of been a balance of twisting and moving back. And again, I think that if you look at the approved plan compared to what's before you, you can see that the features are essentially the same. There's a pool. The pool used to be a square, now it's a rectangle. It's in the same general location, still outside of the 50. We've provided, or Bernice has provided much more detail in terms of the planting list than had been included in the approved plan. And really, we just want to be sure before we start construction that we're before you, before the fact and not after the fact, so that there's not any question or discrepancy of the details from the approved plan. And with that, we're all here to try to address questions or concerns that anyone may have. first floor elevation's the same, you can see, you know, on both plans. So it's not like we didn't really change too much other than refinement of planters and showing the micro grading, I think I would like to call it.
Alright, so all this structure up to the 25 was previously approved?
Yeah, this is the approved plan, which if you don't have, sure, that's the approved plan. So you can see that it's, what we had done was essentially a balance in the original approval where the purple line, as you can see, had encroached into the 25, and we sort of balanced by taking it back, if you will, the spin, and it was pretty close to, I think, an even balance. Again, this is an armored bank. There's a timber bulkhead at the bottom, and with some quar stabilization above that, so we're not in a situation of a eroding coastal bank. And it's been in residential use for many years.
When was the house that is has it been demolished? Or
No, it's still there.
When was that?
I'd have to go back to the original filing. I think I had some aerials, maybe even from the 30s, that might have shown a piece of it. The 30.
So well before 78.
Oh yeah, yeah, right, absolutely. And again, we're not before you with anything that has to do with the bulkhead. But yeah, oh yeah, there's no question at all in terms of. I'd have to go back to the original. I think I might have included. Because it also demonstrated that really much of the yard had been maintained since even prior to the enactment of the act, so prior to 72.
You provided one in 71.
Yeah, that showed the lawn that was there. And we've maintained, there's lawn that's into the 25, but again, our position had been that it was the lawn that pre-existed the regulation, and we're not proposing any expansion of lawn within that area. And we've held the grading out of that area as well.
Any other questions?
It's good to me.
Jeff, do you have any recommendations? Just approve the
I would say
minutes?
that it falls within the scope of
A motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
All in favor? Aye.
Thank you.
Unanimously.
Thanks, Bernice.
Okay, on to certificates of compliance. Pippins Bay Homeowners Association Trust, 12 Gardner Road.
We're just looking to withdraw that one, so you just need to accept the withdrawal of that. They're working on cleaning out their catch basins, and they have some work to do. So they have an open permit, but they're working underneath, and they are striving to get to compliance.
Okay, motion to, go ahead, motion to withdraw the application, or withdraw the, what do we withdraw?
To approve the withdrawal.
Motion to approve.
Yeah, okay, motion to approve.
Second.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. So is that everybody in favor?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're all tongue-tied over here.
Kind of stepping on toes.
Motion to approve.
Okay, so Lisa R. and John J. Bermel, 9 Cabot Lane.
So this is the one we just looked at a few minutes ago for the construction of the patio and the wall.
Yeah.
And the patio was just over the RDA. The original application was built in compliance with that, so it was just permitted. So I would say it's almost the first certificate.
Motion to issue.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, that's approved unanimously. Fargo Way Realty Trust and Wilwinnett Realty Trust, 10 Fargo Way.
So this is the Wilkinsons per way, at 10 and 14 Fargo Way. It is constructed in compliance. However, we are recommending a number of conditions carried forward. So if you want, I can read it, but it's 17, 18, 21, 22, 23, 28, 29, 30, and 32. And it's
core log shall be kept in good repair, if their damage shall be repaired and notified to the commission. Once the vegetation is established, replacement of the core logs in the area is prohibited. 29 is the plantings percentage. 30 is a requirement to report to the commission and mitigate if it's below that percentage. Then 32 is the failure rate, the failure criteria for the replacement of the materials in excess of a third that the structure is deemed failure. That's our recommendation. It's a very long recommendation.
Okay.
I will say though, this one does really nice. It's the one where they built the land on that.
No, it's all right.
Okay. So do I have a motion to approve this certificate with conditions 17, 18, 21, 22, 23, 28, 29, 30, and 32 ongoing?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, that's approved unanimously. Sherland, 40 and 41 Ocean Avenue. Should these all,
Yeah, we can take these all at once if it's comfortable for everybody. I'm happy to run through them all individually. I'll tell you all 4 of them are in compliance. But they are for the redevelopment of the structure, the construction of some beach stairs. Landscaping was done on a separate order. And then the last one was for an addition onto the structure. They're all in compliance. And they're all complete.
so how should I do this? Do I have a motion to issue the certificate of compliance for Sherland, 40 and 41 and 43 Ocean Avenue? Is that
So
what
moved.
it is?
Yep.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Those are approved unanimously. Yeah. Okay. David W. Frisbee, trustee, 42 Easton Street, nominee trust, 42 Easton Street.
Alright, so the first one there, the 1887, the 1887 is for, 1887 was for the replacement of the steel bulkhead cap and timber walkway. That has been treated in compliance. This is on the existing bulkhead, replaced the cap. And then 1860 was the renovation of the existing structure. In addition, the construction of 2 garages within the buffer zone to the bank, the wetland, links of the place to storm village. Both of those projects have been completed in compliance.
So do I have a motion to issue the certificate of compliance for David W. Frisbee, trustee?
Motion.
Do I have a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, so those are approved unanimously. And then we have Annette Cavelli, Ford Trust, 8 Pilgrim Court.
Yep, so this was for the expansion of the deck and porch, the installation of a pool cover. This covers the rolled out, and then some landscaping, within the buffer zone to a vegetated wetland. Again, this one was completed in compliance. So we recommend it's complete.
Do I have a motion to issue the certificate?
Motion to issue.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. That's approved unanimously. And then on to orders of conditions. Edward P. Mascioli Living Trust, 109 Baxter Road.
This is the one we closed last time. This was for the rolls on the upper portion of the bank at 109 that were anchored back with the steel cables.
Oh, I'm sorry, I have a whole stack on my hand. Yeah, right there.
Take one and pass it on.
There we go.
So I looked back at my notes from last time, and I tried to capture those so we have, just the monitor report. There's another monitor that goes with it, but just kind of the annual report, the plantings to be maintained, 75%. Replacement of the tubes would require some level of filing with us to replace the place that it is to be replaced. Put a 21 in, we talked about it at the meetings. I thought it'd be a good idea to give them the ability to sleeve those steel cables, at least over the portion that goes over the bank, if they so choose, and that they have to do a regular inspection of those. 22 is that any man-made debris that comes from the coastal bank, so if any more of the foundation pieces or whatever other surprises the previous owner left in the bank fall out, they need to get picked up. And then just number 23 is the inspection and work logs that are being filed with the commission demonstrating the proper observation and maintenance of the structure. 24 is the logs for free held out the bank. That's one of the failure criteria that's there. And then just asking for an as-built upon installation, just to make sure that we have the exact configuration as it plans when it's initially constructed.
So in 19, this report should also include documentation of any sand. Should we put any amount of sand to it? I understand that's what you're implying, but
Sure, we can put it down. What's saying?
then do we feel that a sleeve is sufficient to disperse pressure? Or should we allow them some other way of this, you know?
We could put
Reducing
may sleeve or brace, and then that'll give it some
Yeah.
difference.
Any other suggestions?
Move to approve as amended?
Do you have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Aye. So I think that's just two, Ernie and I. Opposed. Alright, and then our second order of conditions is for 28 EPR Trust, 28 Gill Point Road, Wesley.
say there should be some monitoring of the erosion control bales, just to, maybe every few months or something, and make sure they're in good repair through the,
Just do like quarterly.
yeah.
Is that 19?
Yep. Shall provide photographs. I think it's a real pity that they're going to pull out so much of it. I mean, it really is blends in well and it's beautifully colored. So, that was a erosion control license. Drainage wells. Quarterly. Emissions review.
Good.
Do I have a motion to approve as amended?
Motion to approve is amended.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So that's approved unanimously with Commissioner Topham recused. And then extension of orders of conditions, Town of Nantucket, 34 Washington Street.
Sure, so this was for work at the town pier, some island replacement, some floating dock work, and then some of the great work around the end there. They started the pier replacement, some of the work on the floating dock. They have not had an opportunity to do the dredging component yet, so they're asking for a 3 one-year extension to finish the work on the floating dock and get that maintenance dredging over the next 8 months.
Three 1 year or 1 year?
The 3 1-year, total of 3 years.
Motion to approve the 3 one-year extensions.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
It's approved unanimously. And then on to other business. We have conveyance of properties, signing of deeds.
We need to continue that to,
Okay.
let's continue that to the 11th. They had them all ready to go, then someone's turning through and so. They were sitting down at 3 today to try to hash it out before this meeting, and they, so.
Okay. So that's continued till next meeting. Approval of minutes from June 13th.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, those are approved
Aye.
unanimously. Monitoring reports.
Don't have anything for this week. Well, that's something to do, that's fine. You guys talked about it, so they're finishing up this to get it.
Those.
Sometimes we get it. Oh, and nothing further.
Okay, reports, CPC.
No, the deadline for submissions is September 7th, and please thrash the bushes and try and get people to.
Some good causes out there.
Why is it so hard to hand out money?
It's confusing.
Doing a CPC application is a chore.
As a,
Yeah.
When we did the two for the Asher, we pulled our applications for like 300 pages.
Term paper.
Really?
It just,
Holy cow.
I mean, we have to provide like the last 3 years of financials for your organization, so we have to provide like the town budget summary for 3 years and then all kinds of supporting documentation. It's a process that provides a lot of information. I think it's good that they read that, but I know some people prefer to look elsewhere because CPC processes. Well, the applications do vary. The one for the Wisconsin firehouse for the roof was basically looked as had been sketched on a napkin. Well, you're right. I mean, it is quite a hurdle to get. It could be an easier process. I'd rather fill out a certain template all day for you.
All right, good.
There you go.
Just September 7th?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
I can make some lunch.
NP and EDC is not here. Nothing from mosquito control. No other. So on to commissioners' comments. Crickets.
Good job. Good job, Ashley.
And it's thrown a short one, so. All right, administrator staff reports.
I do have just two really quick ones. And the first is notes that I had. It's just some dates or some things that are coming, just as a reminder to everybody. In July here. The 18th of July is the second coastal resiliency workshop that's downstairs. It'll be just like the first one with the same like charrettes and talk. So if you went to the first one, go to the second one and participate. But if you went, it's not necessarily going to be any new information. But definitely, we're encouraging people to go. It's kind of a big deal because we're developing the coastal resiliency plan that's for the entire island. So input is valued. The next night.
What time is it? What time?
At 6 p.m. downstairs. I'll confirm the time of the next night. On July the 19th is the annual Land Council sponsored State of the Harbor at Great Harbor Yacht Club. It's open to the public. I would encourage anyone to attend. I thought last year's was really good and really informative for anyone who went. I'll confirm the time. I know the speakers this year are going to be Ron McNeil and David Gray. Obviously, there's a lot of interest on the sewer break that happened in its impact to the harbor, so we'll be kind of talking about that. I'll be speaking. Maria will be speaking. And I think Cormac will be talking. And then we're going to try to have like a panel Q&A with all of the speakers after that. Just talking about the health of the harbors, everyone's warm. So I'm trying to get through all of them. And then on the next Monday, July the 23rd, at 5 p.m. in this building, again, is the pond forum that the town is putting on. We're going to be discussing kind of the pond management principles, kind of queuing up to develop a kind of a pond management plan or pond management strategy for the Great Ponds. So they include washing and all those. That's a little bit bigger, but to get a little bit more community involvement in the management of the water. So I would encourage everyone to go to all three of those or send a proxy or do those things because I think the coastal resiliency and the pond forum especially may end up with some action items for the commission as far as maybe looking at some of the regulations and how we're regulating some of those areas. So that's it for me.
Thanks, Joe.
Move to adjourn.
All right, second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Good job. Wow.
Really, I got thrown an easy one.
I was gonna say, you have to do this all the
Oh, no,
time.
that
I was gonna say.
HTC was over 4.5 hours.
Come on. How is that possible? How is it possible to even stay focused?
Well, that's,
I'll send you one card.
Yeah.
Yeah, she took up an hour and a half.
Did you really?
And fried the patients.
Two answers.